It began without warning. The sun had barely climbed over the horizon when the world froze in place. Screens on every street corner flickered. Television channels dissolved into static. Radios hissed with a strange, sharp tone in every mobile phone, computer, and satellite transmissions switched to a single, unified signal. Across cities and small towns, people stopped what they were doing. Drivers pulled over. Shoppers stared at the glowing displays in shop windows. Soldiers on distant bases lifted their heads from their duties. Even in the quietest parts of the earth, deep in forests and deserts, the sky itself seemed to hum with an electric weight. Then the image came. A vast, shadowed hall filled the screen's ceiling, lost in darkness. Its walls glittering with the reflections of hundreds of alien shapes. Tall, insect-like beings with shining black armor stood beside creatures that looked like they had been carved from molten stone. Serpentine figures coiled in pools of green light. At the center of it all, raised high on a dais of silver and gold, was a council chamber unlike anything humanity had ever seen. And in that chamber, a single voice spoke, not one voice, but many, layered over each other, deep and resonant, carrying a weight that pressed against the bones. People of Earth, the voice said, we are the United Council of Civilizations. We have judged your species, and our judgment is final. Shiver moved through humanity like a living thing. In living rooms, in offices, in crowded cafes, people leaned forward, unable to look away. The voice continued, calm and cold. You are dangerous, reckless, a threat to the balance of our galaxy. We have voted. All member species without dissent agree. Humanity will be brought under our control. Your armies will disband. Your technology will be dismantled. Your freedom will end. This is for your protection and for ours. The image shifted, showing an overwhelming sight. A fleet of alien warships drifted in space, each one the size of a small city, their hulls bristling with weapons no human mind could fully understand. Hundreds of them, stretching across the darkness, moving toward Earth like a wall of steel and fire. You have 24 hours to surrender, the voice said. If you refuse, we will remove your world from the stars entirely. Cross. The globe, the reaction was chaos. In Washington, leaders shouted into secure phones, demanding answers from generals and scientists. In Beijing, military satellites swarmed to track the incoming fleet. London's streets were clogged with people rushing home or toward shelters. The markets crashed in minutes, as if the machines that traded money understood before humans did that everything was about to change. Churches filled, while in other places, riots broke out. Humanity had always argued about whether life existed beyond Earth now. It was not only proven, it was hostile, organized, and coming, but in a small, quiet research facility in the mountains of Norway, one woman was not watching the alien ships. Dr. Mara Voss, specialist in deep space communication, was staring at a stream of data scrolling across her screen. Her colleagues were frozen, watching the alien broadcast like everyone else, but Mara's mind had caught something strange. In the background of the council's speech, hidden beneath the main transmission, there was another signal. It was faint, buried so deep in the broadcast that no one else seemed to notice, but to Mara, it was like hearing a whisper in a silent room. She isolated the frequency, stripping away the layers of alien speech until the whisper became a voice. It was not the council's voice. It was something else, something urgent, desperate. Her hands shook as she boosted the signal. No. The message repeated over and over. In heavily accented but unmistakable English, if you hear this, you must not surrender. They are lying. They fear you. Help us, and we will help you. We know how to break them. Mara's heart raced. Some other alien was reaching out from inside the same network the council controlled. It shouldn't be possible. Council's technology should block all unauthorized communication. But this meant there was a weakness. A secret the council didn't want humanity to know. She recorded the signal, compressing it into a secure file. The voice repeated again, softer now, as if it was fading. We are Thalrin. We are enslaved, as you will be, for there is still time. Now the no's gone. Outside the facility, the news was filled with footage of the alien fleet drawing closer. Military analysts guessed that the ships would enter Earth's orbit within 30 hours. Already, strange objects were appearing in the upper atmosphere long. Silver spines that hung motionless above major cities, silent and threatening. Some believed they were weapons. Others thought they were observation devices. No one knew for sure. All anyone knew was that the clock was ticking, and humanity had no weapon powerful enough to stop what was coming. Mara shut down her terminal and backed up the message to a secure drive. She knew if the wrong people found out she had intercepted a hidden alien signal, they might destroy Etor Herbie before the truth got out. Somewhere out there in the endless dark between the stars, a species called the Thaurin had risked everything to warn her. If they were telling the truth, then the Council's power was not unshakable. It could be broken. But why had they chosen her? And why did their warning sound less like hope, more like the start of a trap? Far above, the alien fleet glided closer, its shadow already stretching over Earth's blue oceans. And in every corner of the world, people stared upward, waiting for the sky to speak again. Mara didn't sleep that night. She sat alone in the dim light of her office, the secure drive clenched in her hand like it was made of gold. Outside the window, the mountains lay silent under the pale shimmer of the aurora. Normally, she found comfort in their stillness. Tonight they felt like walls closing in. Every few minutes, she glanced at the clock on her desk. Each tick was another second closer to the alien fleet's arrival. She replayed the hidden message again and again, memorizing every word, every pause. If you hear this, you must not surrender. They are lying. They fear you. The words sank into her mind, filling her with a feeling she hadn't expected: anger. She opened a secure line to an old contact in Washington. Someone she trusted only because they had saved her life once during a failed research mission in Antarctica. Colonel David Keene answered after the second ring. His voice was tight, tense, like he had been living on coffee and fear for days. Mara, tell me this is important. The world's on fire right now. She told him everything the hidden signaled the voice of the Thaurin that claimed that the Council feared humanity. There was silence on the line for several seconds. Then Keene said, "Send me the file." She hesitated. "No," she said finally. "If I send it through normal channels, it'll vanish. Someone will bury it." Keene's voice dropped lower. "You're right. Too many hands in the pot. We'll do this off the books. Stay put. I'm sending a team to you." 2 hours later, a helicopter appeared over the frozen valley, its searchlight cutting across the snow. Mara stepped outside into the freezing air, her parka hood pulled tight, the secure drive still in her pocket. The soldiers who stepped out weren't wearing standard uniforms. Black gear, no insignia, faces hidden by tinted visors. They didn't speak as they escorted her into the helicopter. She didn't like it. Keene was supposed to meet her himself. Instead, she was sandwiched between two silent men with weapons she didn't recognize. The flight was long and rough, a helicopter, buffeted by icy winds. They flew low, skimming over forests and rivers that glowed faintly under the moonlight. Eventually, the soldiers pulled black hoods over their faces, as if preparing for something. Mara's unease grew into fear. When they landed, it wasn't in Washington. They were in a vast hangar lit by cold, white lights, filled with strange machinery that looked nothing like human technology. The air smelled faintly of ozone and burning metal. A tall man stepped forward from the shadows. He wasn't military. His suit was expensive, his smile thin and sharp. "Dr. Voss," he said smoothly. "You found something very interesting." She took a step back. "Who are you?" His smile didn't fade. "A friend, let's just say. I speak for people who want the same thing you do. Survival. The Council has made a terrible mistake in underestimating us. And thanks to you, we now have proof they're afraid." He held out his hand, the drive. Her instinct screamed at her not to give it to him. "If you know what's on it," she said slowly, "then you know I can't just hand it over without answers." The man's smile vanished. He stepped closer, his voice low. "The people I represent don't like delays. You've stumbled into something far larger than you realize. The Thaurin, aren't your friends, Dr. Voss. They're worse than the council. They'll use you. And when they're done, they'll burn Earth to ashes." Before she could reply, the ground shook violently. Sirens wailed. Somewhere above, something massive tore through the air. Soldiers rushed into the hangar, shouting orders. Incoming. Atmospheric entry, non-human craft. The man's composure cracked for the first time. "It's too soon," he muttered. Mara turned toward the hangar doors just as they began to open. Through the blinding light of the snowstorm outside, a shape descended sleek, silver and unlike. The dark, brutal warships of the Council hovered silently, the storm swirling around it, and then a ramp extended from its side. A figure emerged. It was tall, thin, and cloaked in a fabric that shimmered like liquid glass. Its face was hidden behind a mask of pale metal, but its voice, when it spoke, was the same desperate voice from the hidden message. "Dr. Voss, come with me if you want your world to survive." The soldiers raised their weapons. The man in the suit shouted for them to fire.
"Owned."
Mara's heart pounded. She was standing at the center of something that could save Earth, or doom it even faster, and the clock was still ticking. Mara didn't have time to think. The alien's hand was outstretched, the hangar was chaos, and the soldiers' weapons were glowing, ready to fire. She could see the man in the expensive suit shouting orders, his face twisted with something between fear and rage. Outside, the alien craft hummed with a strange energy. The air around it warping like heat waves. Then the first shot rang out. It wasn't a normal bullet, it was a bright pulse of blue light that ripped across the hangar toward the alien. The alien moved faster than Mara's eyes could track, raising a shimmering shield that flared with sparks when the blast hit. More shots followed, each one lighting up the dark hangar with quick flashes. The alien didn't attack. It just held its shield and called to her again. "Mara, now." Her instincts screamed at her to run toward the ramp. Every part of her training told her that if the Council feared humanity, then maybe this alien wasn't the real enemy. But she also remembered the man's warning, "They'll use you. Then they'll burn Earth to ashes." Another blast hit the floor near her feet, spraying hot metal shards into the air. That made the decision for her. She sprinted toward the light of the ramp, the secure drive still tight in her pocket. The soldiers shouted, some turning their weapons toward her. One reached out to grab her arm, but the alien moved between them. With fluid, inhuman speed, deflecting the soldier's strike like swatting away a leaf, Mara ran up the ramp and into the craft. The moment her foot crossed the threshold, she felt a strange pressure in her head. It's like a sudden shift in air pressure, but deeper inside her mind. The alien followed, and the ramp began to rise. The man in the suit's voice echoed from below. "Dr. Voss, you don't know what you're doing?" The ramp sealed shut with a soft hiss. A low vibration passed through the ship, and Mara stumbled, grabbing a strange curved wall for balance. Through a small viewport, she saw the hangar shrinking. Below them, snow whipping in spirals as they rose. The alien turned to her. "You have something that belongs to me." Mara's heartbeat quickened. "The drive, you sent that message. You're Thalrin, aren't you?" It nodded once. "I am Velis, and you're holding the only proof that the Council's war is a lie. But if they find you with it, you will vanish along with your planet's chance to survive." She narrowed her eyes. "And you? You're not doing this out of kindness." Velis's mask tilted, almost like a smile. "No, my people, we have our reasons. The Council's fear of humanity is justified. They are right to see you as dangerous. But we see danger as opportunity." The ship shuddered suddenly, the light inside shifting red. Mara looked out the viewport again. 3 dark Council warships were descending through the clouds, their engines glowing like molten fire. They weren't here to negotiate. Velis touched the wall beside them. The ship tilted sharply, accelerating away from the warships. Outside, the mountains blurred into streaks of white and black. "Where are we going?" she shouted over the rising hum. "Somewhere the Council cannot follow, but they will try." The hum became a deep roar. Mara's stomach lurched as the ship shot upward, breaking through the clouds into the blackness of space. But there was no relief. 3 more warships were already waiting above the planet. their weapons glowing like angry suns. Velas's voice was calm. "This is the moment. Dr. Voss, if you trust me, you will live. If you don't—" One of the warships fired, a beam of white energy cut through the dark, and the ship jolted violently as alarms screamed. The viewport flashed white, and Mara's vision blurred. She tasted metal. The last thing she saw was Velas reaching for the controls, his voice sharp in her ears. "Hold on, this will hurt." And then everything went black. Mara woke to silence. Not the silence of deep space, but the heavy, pressing quiet you hear in a library at midnight. Her eyes opened to a soft, golden light, and she found herself lying on real grass under, sky painted with a sunset so perfect it almost looked fake. She sat up quickly. Her head felt heavy, her thoughts slow, like she'd been drugged. She looked around and froze. The place stretched endlessly in all directions. Rolling green hills, flowers swaying in a breeze she couldn't feel, and mountains in the far distance, glowing in soft pink light. It was beautiful, but wrong. The air didn't move. Clouds didn't shift. The sun stayed fixed low on the horizon, never moving an inch. Where she began? But her voice sounded muffled, as if the air itself swallowed the sound. "You're in a holding field," came a voice from behind her. She spun around. Velas was standing there, no helmet, his face lean and sharp, eyes a strange metallic silver. Without his mask, he looked almost human, almost a holding field, she repeated. "It's a construct," Velas said, stepping closer. "A place between places. Safer than leaving you unconscious in the real void, but not much safer." Stood, brushing the grass from her hands. "Why am I here? Why not just wake me on your ship?" Velas tilted his head slightly, studying her. "Because I need to know something before we continue. I need to know if you're what they say you are. And what's that?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he extended his hand toward her. "Touch it." She hesitated, but something in his tone made her step forward. When her fingers brushed his, the world around them changed in a blink. The hills were gone. The sky was gone. She was standing in darkness, an endless void filled with pinpoints of light like stars, but each one pulsed as if alive. Beneath her feet, nothing solid, yet she didn't fall. Velas's voice echoed all around her. "Every intelligent species has a pattern, a limit. Their thoughts, their logic, their emotions, all can be mapped. The Council believes humanity is the only species without a fixed limit. It makes you unpredictable, dangerous." Lights around them began to move, swirling slowly. Some faded, some burned brighter. She felt the pull of them in her mind, like whispers calling her name. Mara tried to speak, but her voice wouldn't come. She reached out to touch one of the lights, instinctively, and the moment her hand brushed it, an image exploded in her mind. She saw Earth, not as it was now, but burning. Cities in flames, the oceans boiling, ships in the sky. She stumbled back, gasping. What was that? Velas's expression didn't change. "One possible path. If the Council gets what they want, and you?" she asked, her voice shaking. "What do you want?" He stepped closer. "Want to know if you can do what no other human has done? If you can break the map?" Before she could ask what that meant, the sky above them tore open, a jagged black rip in the golden light. A deep mechanical sound filled the air, and the world around her began to crack. The hills splitting apart like shattered glass. Velas's eyes narrowed. "They've found us." Mara felt the ground vanish beneath her feet. She was falling not through air, but through the spaces between thoughts. Then she woke again, strapped into a seat on the ship. Alarms blared. The hull shook. And outside the viewport, a massive shadow moved a ship, unlike any she had seen before. Black, angular, and silent, it dwarfed Velas's craft completely. Velas's voice was sharp now. "That is no council ship. That is something worse." The shadow outside the viewport grew larger. Mara gripped the seat straps, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. The black ship had no running lights, no visible engines, just vast, jagged armor plates that looked like they had been torn from the bones of a dead world. It glided toward them without sound. Blotting out the stars, Velas's hands danced over. The controls, but Mara could hear the edge in his voice. "They've locked onto us." "Who are they?" she demanded. He didn't look at her. "They're called the Carzel, ancient scavengers. Even the council avoids them. They don't fight for territory or resources. They hunt for knowledge, secrets, things that can't be replaced." "And what do they want with us?" Velis glanced at her briefly. "Not us. You." Before she could speak again, a beam of light erupted from the black ship, striking Velis's craft. The cabin filled with a low vibration that rattled her bones. The light wasn't blinding, it was cold, a pale blue that seemed to pass through the walls and into her skin. She gasped. For a moment she felt something touching her thoughts, not words, not images, just searching. Velis's jaw tightened. "They're scanning your mind." Mara tried to push it away, but the cold presence pressed deeper, forcing her to relive flashes of her own life, her childhood. The moment she first saw the alien transmission, the night she left Earth, then it reached further, pulling at things she didn't remember learning. Strange symbols, sounds, patterns she couldn't understand. With a sudden jolt, the beam cut off. The shadow ship drifted closer, its hull splitting open like the jaw of some deep-sea predator. Inside was only darkness. "They want us aboard," Velis said grimly. Mara stared at him. "You're actually going to go?" He looked back at her, his expression unreadable. "If they wanted you dead, you'd already be gone. This is different. And if they've scanned you, they already know what the Council wants to hide." The ship's autopilot engaged without Velis touching a thing. Controls locked, and they were drawn forward into the gaping maw of the Carzel vessel. Inside, it was like falling into night. The docking bay swallowed them whole, and the moment they crossed the threshold, every light in Velis's ship died. The air inside the alien hangar was cold and damp. The walls seemed to pulse faintly, like muscle, under skin. As the ramp lowered, a heavy fog spilled inside. Curling around Mara's boots, figures emerged from the mist-tall, thin shapes with long limbs and heads like carved obsidian. Their eyes glowed a dim violet, and when they moved, it was with a smooth, liquid grace that made her skin crawl. One of them stepped forward. Its voice was not sound, but vibration directly in her mind. "You are the one they all fear." Mara's stomach tightened. "I think you've got the wrong person," she said aloud, her voice trembling. "No, you are the reason they enslaved your world. You are the variable they cannot predict." Velis stood beside her, tense but silent. "The Council believes it can control you. They are wrong. And if they succeed, all will be lost." The Carzel figure leaned closer, its glowing eyes inches from hers. "We do not save worlds. We consume them. But you are not like the others. If you wish to survive, you must learn why you are feared." Before she could respond, the figure turned, its long fingers gesturing for them to follow. The fog swirled, parting to reveal a dark passage deeper into the alien ship. Velis whispered, "As they walked, if they're helping us, it's only because they're afraid of something worse." Mara swallowed hard. "Worse than them?" Velis's gaze flicked toward her. "Worse than everything." The passage twisted like the inside of some great beast. The walls were not metal, they were alive, covered in a faint, shifting membrane that pulsed with every step. The air was thick, filled with a deep, low hum, like the heartbeat of something sleeping far below. Mara followed the tall Carzel through the dim corridors. Velis just a step behind her. She could feel his eyes scanning every curve and corner, memorizing escape routes. But Mara knew there was no escape here. Not until the Carzel decided to let them go. Finally, they entered a chamber so vast it swallowed their footsteps. The ceiling was lost in shadows, but in the center stood a single structure, a tall, black obelisk, its surface alive with streams of pale blue light. The air around it shimmered, heavy with power. The Carzel leader stopped and turned toward Mara. "Do you know why your world was taken?" Mara shook her head. "'Cause we were weak." Low vibrating sound filled her mind, not quite laughter, not quite anger. "Because you were strong. It's too strong." Velis stepped forward, his voice sharp. "That's impossible. Earth's technology is centuries behind the Council. Technology can be stolen, weapons can be copied, but something else cannot. The alien's gaze burned into Mara's. You adapt faster than any species in the galaxy. You see a threat, and you change. You see a weakness, and you turn it into strength. In 10 generations, your kind would surpass them all. In 20, you would own the stars. Mara's breath caught. Said they enslaved us to stop us. Yes, they burned your skies and chained your leaders, telling themselves it was for order. But fear was the truth. Valise's face darkened. You, Carzel? Why do you care? The alien's eyes dimmed. Because we have seen this before. Another race, long ago. They rose too fast. They challenged the galaxy. The war that followed burned half the known worlds to ash. The obelisk's light shifted. And suddenly images filled the air, cities in flames, ships shattered in orbit, a sky turning black. Mara felt the heat, smelled the smoke. That race was destroyed, every trace erased. The alien stepped closer. But you are different. You might survive what is coming. Or you might cause it. Mara's heart pounded. What is coming? Something the Council fears even more than you. Before she could ask more, the obelisk's glow erupted into a blinding storm of light.
Oh.
Mara fell to her knees as a flood of voices filled her head, not words, but raw feelings, anger, fear, urgency. And beneath it all, a single, unshakable truth: they were running out of time. When the light faded, the Carzel leader knelt before her. We will not fight for you. We will give you what you nay.